Closed captioning is brought to you by IT&D.
KUAM News Headlines is presented by CALVO'S Insurance, a legacy of trust, serving Micronesia for over 75 years. Matson Navigation, proud sponsor of Festback 2016, Cars Plus, Dodge Challenger, the undisputed champion, IP&E, fueling excellence, McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it, Pacific Solar, and Chuck E. Cheese's Guam, where all games are just one token.
Coming up on your primetime news, details to a shooting down in Telefofu.
$143 million in improvements on the table.
Reported shooting at Epan Public Beach Park. Because no charges were filed against them within 48 hours after their arrest, the three men were released and issued a notice to appear in court in January 2019. Also arrested in connection to the reported shooting last month was GPD officer Jojo Garcia. While Garcia was booked and released, GPD confirms an internal affairs investigation is ongoing as to his involvement in the case.
We definitely launch a internal affairs case, and that's the administration portion of our investigation. Now, on the criminal side, regardless, we will still launch an administrative investigation.
Crisostomo is anticipated to appear before a magistrate judge on Thursday. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Crystal Paco.
Investors scooped up a $143 million GWA revenue bond that will fund much-needed capital improvements. Governor DeCalvo said he was pleased with the market response in New York and with a low interest rate, which helped push up demand.
You're seeing interest rates at about 4.2, a little bit over 4.2%. That's great. Now you compare to, let's say, American Samoa, where the interest rates were nearly double, if not double, for also loans or bonds that were put out as well. Again, that is obviously a savings for the people of Guam, particularly for GWA.
Guam investors got first shot at the bond, buying up nearly $1 million worth, and all 75 investors were lined up for the sale, and the bond was 10 times oversubscribed. GWA's total bond debt is now about $500 million.
Guam's congressional delegate, in other news, has put a halt to the U.S. Navy's solar energy projects locally. Madeline Berdalio has expressed concern about even more local land going to military use and wants to know more about Uncle Sam's plans and has blocked the projects until she gets those answers. Our next report is with Nestor LeConte.
The goal of
Berdalio cites concerns from Governor Eddie Calvo and local families about the Navy's plan to lease land in South Finagayan and the old Tumon tank farm. She questions whether this is in line with the Navy's commitment to a so-called net negative policy, where it will not increase land use beyond its current footprint. But the Navy is also under mandate to reduce its reliance on fossil fuels and has in mind something like this photovoltaic solar farm in Inarahan. And GPA factors into the equation. It struck a deal to develop renewable energy facilities and keep the Navy as a customer. Utilities Commission Vice Chair Simon Sanchez explains.
We'll put a renewable energy solution on this land, but the energy would go into the entire GPA grid. It wouldn't be just kept for the Navy. The Navy would get a benefit with their congressional mandate of making lands available for renewable energy, and GPA ratepayers would get the benefit of 45 megawatts being made from renewable energy, and that's going to eventually lead to much lower power costs for the entire island.
Bordallo says she supports the Navy's renewable energy initiatives, but apparently not at the expense of additional land use.
I can appreciate original landowners saying, hey, if the Navy can lease this land to GPA, then do you really need it? Why don't you just give it back to the original landowners? Perhaps that's what they're thinking. Of course, my concern is the Navy could say, well, we were going to do the renewable energy for ourselves anyway. If you're not going to let us share it with GPA, then we'll just do it on our side of the fence and we'll keep the energy and we'll buy less energy from GPA, and that's going to create a financial burden on GPA ratepayers.
But Bordallo says this is an opportunity for a broader discussion of the Navy's overall footprint and land return policy. She has written to Navy brass seeking clarification. Local Navy spokesman Lieutenant Tim Gorman says they are formulating a response. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Guam's law enforcement community gathered in Hagåtña to discuss what's being done to address the recent rash of bomb threats. Here's more.
Although their main mission is to protect the homeland, lately they've been focusing on a lot of homerooms.
In recent past, in the last several weeks, we've had an upswing of bomb scares.
Guam Homeland Security Advisor Johnny Lizama was among the leaders of Guam's law enforcement agencies appearing before the legislature's Committee on Public Safety to discuss what's being done to address the rash of bomb scares threatening Guam's education and economy.
We've worked with local authorities within in particular, the Department of Education, and developing response measures for them to be able to have their own way of dealing with their bomb scares.
According to Marianas Fusion Center Deputy Director Colonel Joseph Leon Guerrero, the RAM, or Response Assessment Matrix, has been working for the Department of Education.
To date, in my opinion, I believe that there has been that cost savings with respect to the response from the public safety agencies to the scene.
GHS has also engaged Guam's tourism and business communities to help them design their own specific RAM.
RAMs are developed specifically for whatever entity that we're providing training to.
And while the hearing also focused on contingencies and operational challenges such as manpower and equipment, Committee Chair on Public Safety Frank Uggan Jr. said the legislature is also providing support via the introduction of legislation to address what's called swatting.
Swatting, just for the information of the public, is a goal achieved by hacking where the hacker tricks 911 systems into deploying SWAT, S-W-A-T, to an unsuspecting victim's home under false pretenses.
Chief of Police J.I. Cruz says discussions about federal laws related to swatting are already underway with the U.S. Attorney's Office, but a local law could help.
Having the legislation in place so that crime could be charged locally would definitely add to being able to deal with this particular crime.
Chief Cruz confirms that some of the local bomb threats were a result of swatting and that they are working with the FBI and other federal law enforcement entities to investigate the cases.
Elsewhere, the president has released his fiscal year 2017 proposed budget for the Department of the Interior's Office of Insular Areas. The more than $652 million budget request for the OIA includes more than $102 million in annual appropriations and $550 million in permanent and indefinite appropriations mandated by law to U.S. territories, as well as the freely associated states. According to that budget, Guam will receive an estimated $79 million in tax payments from active duty military and federal retirees locally, otherwise known as Section 30 funds. The president's budget request also includes approximately $33 million for compact impact grants to American Samoa, Guam, the Northern Marianas, as well as Hawaii.
The votes have been counted in the first in the nation primary with no big surprises at the top. Danielle Nottingham reports.
CBS News is projecting Donald Trump is the winner of New Hampshire's Republican presidential primary.
New Hampshire, I want to thank you. We love you. We're going to be back a lot. We're not going to forget you.
Exit poll data showed that nearly half of Republican voters wanted a political outsider.
He's a little different than everybody else. He's not a politician, for one.
John Kasich's intensive ground game paid off, with CBS News projecting a second-place finish for the Ohio governor.
Tonight, the light overcame the darkness of negative campaigning.
Trump won with broad support from independent voters. Independents were also key for the Democratic winner. CBS News is projecting Democrat Bernie Sanders scored a significant victory over Hillary Clinton.
We won because we harnessed the energy and the excitement that the Democratic Party will need to succeed in November.
Clinton conceded the loss, but said she's in it for the long haul.
We're going to fight for every vote in every state.
The next contests take place February 20th, with the Democratic caucus in Nevada and the GOP primary in South Carolina.
Danielle Nottingham, KUAM Guam's News Network.
Third place in the GOP race is too close to call, with several hundred votes separating Ted Cruz and Jeb Bush.
Well, it is time to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we tell you that the Guam Regional Medical City has opened its Patient and Family Education Center. We'll take you there next.
Stay connected to the world at home from everywhere you are. Get the KUAM News app for the latest in local news, videos, sports, streaming, ISLA 63 AM, weather, and more. Available for free now at the iTunes App Store or Google Play.
Congratulations! Just won! I did!
You too can win in CALVO'S Insurance Ride Your Dreams giveaway. If you are a CALVO'S Insurance home or personal auto customer, you qualify to enter by texting LOYAL to 2015. And if you need an insurance quote, text QUOTE to 2015 for a chance to win in our grocery giveaway. Thank you, Guam, for placing your trust in CALVO'S. Insure with CALVO'S today and ride your dreams to reality.
Will always be here. But this one won't last long.
McDonald's Filet-O-Fish is perfect for Lent. Get it with fries and a drink for only $5.99 for a limited time.
It's Triple J Auto Group's Drive Now and Pay Later event going on now. Buy the car of your dreams and make no payment for 90 days. Get in an all-new Honda, Acura, Ford, Mazda, Lincoln, Volvo, or Kia and pay nothing for 3 months on approved credit. Plus, we've got unbelievable savings in all remaining 2015s and many 2016s. Now's the time to buy during Triple J's Drive Now, Pay Later event. Visit us online at carsguam.com and get pre-approved instantly. Download our free app on Apple and Google stores. Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J Auto Group. Customers first.
Follow KUAM News on Twitter or become a fan on Facebook to get all your daily headlines from Guam's News Network.
Welcome back to Primetime, everybody. And as the Guam Memorial Hospital continues to drown in debt, various stakeholders are working around the clock to keep Guam's only public hospital afloat. Isa Baza has more.
Endless to-do lists and mounting debt mar the bi-weekly Guam Memorial Hospital Management Advisory Team meetings that aim at addressing the cash crunch at GMH. At the latest count, GMH has nearly $26 million in account payables. Chief Executive Officer Peter John Camacho.
I'm not sure that we can ever say that the hospital won't have any outstanding payables. You know, it's trying to get to that point where we can manage that.
The backlog in payments has caused issues with vendors, and most recently, the hospital's trash collection.
We're actually in the process of correcting that, Isa. There was a buildup of the trash that had been collected, but we've been able to, working with the vendor to be able to come and pick up the trash, remove it, and then, you know, moving forward, we'll make sure that we're going to continue to maintain that.
Camacho says because the hospital doesn't receive enough revenue to cover its expenses, as it hasn't for several decades, it's been a balancing act between paying vendors and purchasing much needed supplies.
When the governor stepped in and committed the government's resources to help the hospital, I think that was a demonstration of his commitment to make sure that the hospital will continue to be able to provide services to, those who come here.
Nevertheless, all hands are on deck, working on immediate cash needs at GMH. But HMAT member Will Castro said the hospital's long-term viability is also a key focus.
In this meeting, across the table, everybody was in agreement that there are some issues that are much bigger than the hospital, that in fact we have to tackle the entire health provisioning system comprehensively and almost in a unified fashion. That's a system of care that has to be addressed even outside of the hospital.
This sentiment was mirrored by a recent report by the legislature's GMH task force. While these stakeholders continue to work on an influx in cash in the short term, many agree that a complete change in our island's system of care will be the long-term solution needed to keep the hospital running for generations to come.
And I think Hillary Clinton is quoted as saying it takes a village. It's going to take our island community to come together to be able to address these problems.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Isa Baza.
It's part of their commitment of where patients are partners, and today the Guam Regional Medical City officially opened its Patient and Family Education Center. The center allows patients and visitors to learn about the causes of an illness, the treatments available, and the steps that can be taken to reach a cure. Patient educator Christopher Carbolito says patients can now take a more active role in their own health care.
We're a free resource for our patients. And we provide, just like Margaret was saying, a vehicle or a means for patients to come and get more engaged in their care, getting more information on their treatment options, as well as being able to communicate better with their healthcare providers.
Along with printed educational materials and one-on-one teaching, patients will also have access to a variety of health information from their bedside on the GRMC Patient Education Channel. The new center is located on the first floor of GRMC and is open Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Well, the intent is to modernize Guam's family leave laws while finding a balance benefiting both families and government staffers. And today, Bill 248, to address that very issue, was heard before lawmakers. It was introduced by Senator Mary Torres and would extend 4 leave for female employees who are recovering from the medical effects of pregnancy and childbirth. The paid maternity leave would be extended from 4 to 6 weeks. Dr. Thomas Shea and Nurse Carla Haddock testified in support of the bill.
A healthy mother, a healthy child, and a healthy recovery period, the workplace is going to be a healthier place to work. And that will increase, productivity. And for every employer, that's what you're looking for, is a healthy employee.
I am full support of this bill because I think it sends a strong message that mothers are valued and wanted at their job. Paid leave is a win for everybody. I want to thank you.
Now, Haddock, so you know, is a mother of 6 and is also the daughter of Senator Torres. She says she will make substitutions, the senator does, into the bill in order to eliminate concerns for potential discriminatory challenges. The bill instead would address parental leave regardless of the gender of the employees or the parent.
Thousands of island Catholics lined up at parishes throughout the island today in honor of Ash Wednesday. Ash Wednesday marks the beginning of the Lenten season, a Catholic tradition that is characterized by fasting, sacrifice, and prayer. Lent was originally made to mirror the 40 days Jesus is said to have spent in the desert tempted by Satan. The season includes 40 days and nights of fasting, which ends the day before Easter Sunday.
We also want to invite you to go to our Twitter feed where we've got a really cool poll asking you what you gave up for Lent. Check it out. All right, well, continuing our Dusitani culinary special, we now introduce you to Alfredo's Chef Fabrizio as he shares his passion for Italian food and gives Isa a special cooking lesson. Here's more in our series, The Dish.
The Dish with Dusitani.
It's an authentic night under the Tuscan sun. Alfredo's Tuscan Restaurant is a northern Italian-inspired steakhouse that serves house-cured steaks, handcrafted pasta, fresh antipasti, and a wine list that will intrigue any connoisseur. Running the kitchen is a world-renowned chef straight from Sicily, Chef Fabrizio.
We do homemade pasta, we do homemade bread, ice cream, everything we do here in the house.
Fabrizio has been a chef for more than 22 years.
I work all around the world, Asia, America, Europe. So I'm always try to bring our Italian cuisine around the world. Our plates today is going to be aged potato gnocchi with taleggio cheese sauce. Aged is called aged because the kind of potato we use it.
The first step to making aged potato gnocchi is steaming the potatoes and sieving it into a bowl.
Then we're going to add some Parmesan cheese. Then we're going to add some egg yolk. Just to give it to the mix, the consistency. Once it's cooked, you keep compact. And then we're going to add the flour.
Next, we roll the dough into bite-sized pieces.
The better way to do the gnocchi is like a mama style. Of course, you need to use your hands to make sure that the mix is nicely.
Next, boil the pieces until they float to the surface, indicating they're ready to eat. Then mix the cream and taleggio cheese.
It's called taleggio. It came from Lombardia, from North Italy. It's a kind of cheese, soft cheese, a very strong flavor with cow milk. There's a fresh sage.
The final product is a creamy homemade pasta that melts into your palate and leaves you wanting more. Paired with one of Alfredo's featured wines, and it's a match made in heaven.
The finalized plate, aged potato gnocchi with taleggio sauce, cheese, fresh sage. How you gonna test this one? I hope you will enjoy. Buon appetito and welcome to Alfredo restaurant.
Thank you, Chef.
The Dish with Dusitani.
Alfredo's Tuscan Steakhouse is open for lunch and dinner daily. Share an intimate dinner with your loved one at Alfredo's, complete with a 5-course romantic dinner prepared by Chef Fabrizio. For reservations, all you have to do is pick up the phone, call 648-8000, and make sure to join us tomorrow for The Dish.
All right, sports is next, please stay tuned. Plus, Issa is coming back yet again. She's doing triple duty tonight. Her third story is coming up in green, and how you can use solar technology in the home after the break.
Love your flat screen all over again with enhanced HD TV programming from GTA. Explore over 100 HD channels with the sharpest picture and sound quality you can only get from Guam's leader in high definition. That's 3 times more channels than Docomo. Watch live news coverage like never before. Experience the thrill of the game in the comfort of your own living room. With so many HD networks, movies, cooking shows, comedies, you'll never want to leave your couch. GTA, your island, your HD network.
It's an event so big, it's presidential. It's Cars Plus President's Day sale going on now in Mighty. Drive home a new 2016 Hyundai Accent today, starting at $12,995 or $79 per paycheck. Or the totally new 2016 Hyundai Sonata, starting at $21,888 or $133 per paycheck. Buy now and you won't make a payment for 90 days. Plus, all new Hyundais come with Guam's best warranty, 10 years, 100,000 miles. It's our President's Day sale going on all month at Cars Plus in Mighty. Cars Plus, driven by you.
Get ready. It's time to party, to rally, to run in paradise. 5K, 10K, half marathon, and full marathon. All the fun in one great run, in one great half-a-day experience. Register today for the Guam International Marathon on April 10th.
Hey ho, on the road again. Moving on. Stones won't break a bone. We're in the car on a highway. It's so magical, feel that no one's got home. You're a catalyst to your happiness, you know. This is your home. It's alive. It's pumping down. In a whole wide world is supposed to live. It is reason
What's that?
What? That? A hat. Do you like my hat?
No, that. They're towing our car.
Car? We have gone so far.
What's going on?
We can't afford to have it fixed because it's out of warranty.
Stop making excuses. Trade in your car at Guam Auto Spot for a brand new Mitsubishi Lancer with a 5-year, 60,000-mile warranty. Make us an offer. Fill in the blank. What's your payment? What's up, Guam? I'm Dave Delgado. Welcome to KUAM Sports. Thanks for watching. On the show tonight, basketball highlights from the Tamuning Gym, along with some running news on this weekend's 5K taking place at the Chamorro Village, along with some women's soccer results. Check it out. We get the show started with basketball highlights between the Tooth Fairies and Inarahan Hawks from the Bud Light Golden Hoops Classic. The Tooth Fairies pulled away from the start of the game behind their three-point shooting, looking like the Golden State Warriors from the outside. Tooth Fairies cruised to the 119-47 win. Keep it with basketball from the Tamuning Gym. The Anderson Bombers and MTM Falcons took to the court next. Bombers player Daniel Rodriguez with a deep ball from the corner. Anderson pushing the tempo. Jeremy Woodard takes off baseline for the layup. He gets the shot to fall and one. Falcons player Ryan Nagauta misses on the pull-up jumper, but teammate Dexter Brown manages to pull down the rebound in traffic and draws contact for the basket and the foul. More from the MTM Falcons. Looking to feed the ball inside. Steven Arceo shots no good. George Piolo with the rebound and quick putback for the bucket. The Bombers making it rain from long range. Good by Jeremy Woodard. Anderson wearing down the defense. Bounce pass here to Woodard, who dishes it off to Jerry Clayton with the behind-the-back pass for the score. The Anderson Bombers pull off the win 89-54. Ollie Bradley with the three-pointer from up top. In running news, Sanctuary Incorporated of Guam will be hosting the Love Our Kids 5K Run Walk on Saturday at Chamorro Village. Showtime is at 5 in the morning. Warm-up scheduled for 5:30. Go time is at 6 a.m.
We're inviting everyone on Guam to come out, be with us this Saturday, February 13th. It is a Valentine's weekend, so we even have a special Valentine couple fee of $14. It's $8 if you pre-register at Hornet Sporting Goods, and on race day, it's $10. And also families of 4 or groups of 4 is $25. So we look forward to seeing everyone on Guam out at Chamorro Village this Saturday for Sanctuary's first annual Love Our Kids 5K Run and Walk.
T-shirts will be given out to the first 300 runners. For more information, call 475-7101. Proceeds from the run will also help provide the basic necessities for the youth, such as food and school supplies.
Sanctuary Incorporated runs 24-hour emergency shelter for youth ages 12 to 18 who find themselves homeless, in conflict with their families, sexually or physically abused. And so the funds will go towards the operations of our shelters.
Turning over to some soccer news, the 3-time Women's GFA Cup champions, Personal Finance Center Lady Crushers, had a close call on opening week of the 2016 Bud Light Women's Soccer League spring season at the Guam Football Association National Training Center. The Lady Crushers edged the Lady Rovers 3-2 in the second half to prevail 4-3 at the final whistle. 2015 fall season champions, Quality Distributors, had a rough start to begin the new season, falling to Hyundai 3-1. In the league's other opening week matchup, the Isla Paint and Roofing Supply Lady Strikers defeated the Islanders 3-1. Southern Heat received a bye in the first week of play. The Women's League takes a break for Valentine's Day Sunday and will resume play on February 21st. Well, that's going to do it for sports. We're back right after this.
Hi. You look amazing.
Thank you.
So, do you like your food?
It's really good. How about you?
It's okay. But I like spaghetti. Do you like spaghetti?
I make a great spaghetti.
Really? Wow, my stars are really lucky tonight. When's your birthday?
July 23rd.
Dad, she's perfect for you.
Sorry.
Welcome to Nissan's Sign and Drive event. No money down. All we need is your signature and drive away. And we'll make your first payment. Drive away. Nissan's luxury Sentra sedan starting at just $59.69 with just your signature and enjoy up to 40 mpg. Loaded with all the tech you need to keep you connected to the world. And your first payment's on us. There's more great deals on the full line of Nissan cars, trucks, and SUVs. So start the new year right with a free car payment from Nissan. See your favorite salesperson for details at Nissan Guam.
Ruby Tuesday now gives you more for lunch. Endless trips to the Fresh Garden Bar, plus add-ons, mini combinations, and even new meal options. It's the new lunchtime menu, available Monday to Friday until 2 p.m., only at Ruby Tuesday.
I am track winner.
I'm a baller.
I'm a golfer.
I'm swimmer.
Hey, neighbor.
We are parents of an athlete.
I am a coach.
We are volunteers.
Let me win. Can I win?
Let me be brave in the attempt.
Make a difference in an athlete's life. Be a part of Special Olympics Guam.
Keep our dreams alive.
Get involved today.
All right, everybody, it is time for Think Green, and we introduce you tonight to a family in Agate who is quickly realizing the benefits of solar technology.
Think Green is presented by Pacific Solar and Photovoltaics, keeping Guam green one roof at a time. Call 632-4002 for more information.
Southern resident John Scott said after wanting to go green for years, he and his wife Pat finally installed a 60-panel solar system in their Agate home. The investment is one they would have made sooner if they weren't concerned about possible damage from typhoons.
Strength and impact resistance against storm damage. So it was a no-brainer.
With fluctuating power costs, a bill of $500 to $600 every month, Scott said the drive to save money led him to the investment.
We expect to maintain this year that we'll save at least $6,000. And just pay the service fee, which is $15 a month. So this one puts the money in our pocket, puts it back into the house, increases the value of our property, and through to 2016, you can still deduct 30% of the cost as a tax credit.
Scott purchased the system through locally owned solar company Pacific Solar and Photovoltaics.
Those guys know what they're doing. I'm also of an opinion that quality is more important than cost. So they use US-made and European-made components versus some of the lesser cost systems around here. So we went with the quality system so that we would know we would have no problems with it, that the warranties would be good, and the system would work flawlessly.
It's an investment he recommends to all homeowners and one he expects to pay back in just 6 years.
I'm very pleased with it. I'm now thinking I should have done it years ago, but the other part of me that worried about would it survive a typhoon, now that I'm convinced of that, we're happy we've done it.
With this week's Think Green, I'm Isa Baza.
Think Green is presented by Pacific Solar and Photovoltaics, keeping Guam green one roof at a time. Call 632-4002 for more information.
And it is time now to welcome new members into the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club right off the bat. Coming from grandma, aunties, and your sister, all in the Cepeda family, Jenilyn Cruz. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday going out to Samantha Canary, celebrating her 11th birthday to her sweet, loving daughter.
Canary, love it. Giant Mendoza. Happy birthday to you, Giant, from the entire Mendoza fam. Not family, but fam.
And happy birthday to Thomas Mateo IV, celebrating his 7th birthday from the family.
It's a birthday today for Benny Blas. This comes from Paco, Vanessa, and all the kids.
Happy birthday going out to Sandy Mill.
Now, you know, folks, you don't always have to, be a family member to send a Cold Stone Creamery birthday wish, like Eunice Mendiola, who has a birthday today. And this comes from your bestie.
Happy birthday to Kea Bernadette Kinatsa, celebrating her 4th birthday.
And last but certainly not least, happy 97th birthday, Bree, to Tan Candelaria Gill. This comes from Frank Cabrera from PD. Happy birthday, Tan Candelaria.
And that's going to do it for Prime Time. If you have a Cold Stone Creamery birthday shout out, make sure to check us out on KUAM.com. Stay tuned. Up next is The Buzz.
Closed captioning is brought to you by IT&D.
The Buzz with Jess Lujan.
Good evening, Guam. I'm Jess Lujan. Welcome to this edition of The Buzz. Exciting show tonight. I've got, of course, Ron McNitch, professor, University of Guam, my former producer and former producer of Positively Local with former Senator Tony Blas, or Ryan St. Nicholas. And, of course, tonight we're devoting our show talking about former Senator and talk show host Tony Blas. Good evening, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Good evening, Jess. Good
evening. Hey. Let me start out because Ryan used to produce my show, The Buzz. Yeah. Okay, radio. And we had a great time there, but this basically, that wasn't the start of talk radio. It goes way back to Chamorro, of course, you know, and you picked up, of course, with Senator Tony Blas. But tell us the genesis of your start with a former senator.
It was back in 2002, I believe, the show started. Mm-hmm. And I was at KUAM at the time. I had just recently left, and I was away from KUAM briefly. But then our good general manager, Joey Calvo, gave me a call, asked me to meet with him, and he told me all about Tony's show, mm-hmm. and that it needed a producer. And I guess, the experience that I brought to the table was, I also ran radio stations too, mm-hmm. as well, prior to leaving. Which was our sister station, mm-hmm. I-94. And so when I came in 2002, Tony's show had already started, I believe, 5 or 6 months. Mm-hmm. And I ended up taking over from there. And
as his producer. Yeah.
As his full-time producer. And my job basically was to make sure Tony connected to the people mm-hmm. via radio. And even after the show, mm-hmm. Tony, working with Tony, I was still connecting with them via phone calls, making sure that, whatever they talked about on air was being followed through, mm-hmm. With all the proper channels. Let's say if somebody called up having a water problem, Tony would ask me to give that person a call, see where they're at. Mm-hmm. And if there was no movement, we'll talk mm-hmm. about it mm-hmm. until something happened. Tony's show was pretty good. Lots of fond memories. Mm-hmm. I know the doc probably remembered this one about the ESPN freelance journalist that wrote a story on ESPN and posted it up on the website. Mm-hmm. And the story was unfounded, ridiculous in nature.
I remember that story.
Yeah, it dealt with, Guam having the pastime of cockfighting and
nothing to do. Basically.
Yeah, nothing to do. And if you stumble upon poor family, they'll sell your daughter to a military, mm-hmm. And so basically what we did was we went on force with that. There's so many different gamuts as far as the story is concerned, because at the time GTA was being sold, mm-hmm. and ESPN is a subsidiary of ABC. ABC is part mm-hmm. of Disney Corp. Mm-hmm. Disney Corp ended up taking over GTA. So Tony, as quick and to respond and very witty, he connected all of that. And basically we put him, on notice, like, hey, you guys have just bought a big time GovGuam agency, mm-hmm. And we can boycott that if need be because of your story on ESPN. So it was a story that I got from a friend. I made Tony read it. He was livid. We talked about it on the air, and it reached the proper channels all the way up in New York, ESPN, mm-hmm. where a representative from ESPN ended up calling into the show, mm-hmm. apologizing, for this freelance writer. And as a matter of fact, the freelance writer
got a retraction on it. Yeah.
No retraction, taken out.
Just taken out. Yeah.
Taken out, and ended up, that freelance writer no longer writes for ESPN, mm-hmm. Because of that story. And we found out that freelance writer was in-law of a military family that was only here for a week, and within that week he already saw that Guam is all about cockfighting and selling your daughters, you know, to military members. And you know, and we know that it's not true,
Sure.
you know, and we know that the military, you know,
And I remember that
has
conversation. I
good
remember that.
respect for our
Listening to that.
community.
Yeah. No, the reason I asked here because I know from in the very beginning you had a rocky start actually with Senator former Senator.
We would always pick on him too. As a matter of fact.
Tony Boss. Yeah. You weren't immune to his to his talk. That was the genesis of your.
Well, when I first met Senator Blas, he was a senator, and I didn't like him. I really didn't, and I didn't, you know, and rarely will I say something like this, but the reason I'm saying it is I changed my opinion of him 100% after I got to know him. I didn't like him at the time because he was critical of the Doc Sanchez Scholarship Program, and once I showed him that the program was helping working parents to get an education and government employees to become managers in the government. Once he understood the program, he became one of its strongest supporters. But when I first met him, we kind of, you know, we didn't get along very well. And I'll tell you, I got to know him over time and when he was in office and through his staffer, Jess Perez. Jess Perez was in my master's program, the Master's of Public Administration program. And he helped me to understand the great value of connecting my students with the legislature to support legislative policy. And that was through Senator Blas's office. Senator Blas started this tradition now that even goes on to this day of our students helping the government to make better laws. And that was a great value. But yeah, you know.
but how do you see this? Because Tony brought an element again to radio, unlike maybe other stations and other hosts that he was there. He was a player. He knew the ins and outs of things, and he allowed people, most especially in our station. 6:10 at the time, right? 6:10 at the time, which is now 6:30, right, a.m. To explain themselves again in Chamorro, and as we speak now, you know, we speak broken Chamorro, we speak broken English and things of that nature, and allow people to be comfortable in voicing their opinions where they would otherwise would not would not call in or at times be made to feel uncomfortable in other organizations where to call in and because maybe the host did not quite understand them or what they're trying to say, they wouldn't feel comfortable. But Tony made it comfortable and related to the folks that were calling in.
I think, if anything, Positively Local, I mean, that's just the name and nature. Positively Local was on point with the listeners, you know, connecting in, because if anything, what the show did was, like you said, it gave a venue for people to call in that otherwise would be very uncomfortable. Like a 79-year-old up in Jigo, this lady, you know, wouldn't, and she even said it on the air. I don't call this, you know, talk shows because, you know, one, I speak heavy Chamorro, and, you know, I feel like my plight or, you know, my situation would not be, you know, understood, you know, and, you know, you had all these uncles calling in, taking part in the show, because finally, you know, after Sister Moral, there was really nothing. Then comes Tony, and Tony made his show their own. And I think that's, you know, I mean, people can call about their problems, you know, even just to say hi. Tony was good at getting out information, you know, on certain public hearings that would be happening. He would do the obituaries every morning for our people that, you know, are not in Guam, but they are listening via, you know, online, to hear that their family member have been, you know, have passed away.
He was social media before the social media.
And you know, it didn't happen unless you heard it on Tony's show. That's we often joked about that. And I think that's where I got it from Ron. You know, that if it you know, if something happened, like a bill was signed, as far as Tony Blas is concerned, unless he talked about it, it didn't happen. And so that was the gist of the show. You know, there were so many, I mean, there's so many fond memories that I could talk to him. We did the Lola Cola, you know, and he was at the forefront of that. You know, what else? The military buildup. We were talking about the military buildup back in 2003. You know, all the way up then.
And so, Doc, how important is that again, even as we speak, because we still picked up elements, we still continue elements of that it becomes actually what you stir up in the morning basically becomes the menu, what's discussed in the social gatherings and in the funerals and fiestas and things of that nature, especially, you know, when it's explained out even more, because, you know, we hit on the news basically, right? We editorialize it and we dig more into it and you know, we get into the words, the key words that people say and expound on that a little more. So how important is that again for the constituency, for the voters out there? But I'm going to ask your thoughts still. What are your thoughts? I got to take a quick break. Okay.
This program is brought to you by GTA, your island, your network.
Sunday barbecues are better when there's more than enough bandwidth to share. Sign up for GTA Fiber to the neighborhood today and enjoy faster internet on more devices. GTA, your island, your faster fiber network.
Smiling is a natural response to joy, happiness, and excitement. Your smile reveals a lot about who you are. A healthy, beautiful smile can brighten your appearance and be an invitation to conversation and friendship. It is often one of the first things people notice about you. Now, thanks to the advancements in dentistry, you can have the smile you have always wanted, giving you an improved smile that looks and feels great.
My silver fillings that I have, they're getting older in my mouth and I need to replace them. So I've started to do that and I've replaced them with the white fillings and I've had really great success with that. It looks good, they feel natural, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the bleaching. I want a white look all around my mouth.
The Buzz with Jess Lujan.
We're back, main studio guest, Dr. Ron McNish and Ryan St. Nicholas. We're talking about former senator and talk show host of Positively Local, Tony Blas. Doc, my question to you, again, how important is all this that what basically Sus Chamorro, Tony Blas picked up, and now I'm kind of picking up as well. I'm not doing as good a job as Tony and Sus Chamorro are doing, but still doing it anyway. How important is that, what they put into that?
Sure. And by the way, you have a very strong following also. And I think that in general, this is what happens. And this is the difference between talk radio and news, particularly on Guam. What happens is when people are listening to talk radio, they're not listening to it as if it's the news. They're listening to it and participating with it mentally as if it's a conversation they're a part of. And so when people would listen to Tony Blas on Positively Local, they felt they were part of the conversation and they had an active voice in that conversation. And that was the difference. And I think that then when people would later go to other events and talk to other people, when they talk about what they heard on the show, it's as if it's a conversation they actually had with Tony and his listeners. And the same goes for other radio shows, but Tony made this, really actualized this for talk radio because he was so connected with people. Anyone who met Tony would know Tony very, very quickly, and they would feel very comfortable and friendly with him, and he would have a genuine conversation with them right away. I know I've mentioned this before, within minutes of meeting a person, particularly a person from Guam, Tony would determine how they were related to each other. And he knew everybody who was married to everybody else, and everyone's children and their grandchildren, and he knew those networks extremely well, and he was able to connect with those networks and follow them down.
Yeah, he knew my family, both sides.
And the other side, right?
And the other side.
Now, let me ask you this, because one thing I noticed with this as well, and because I actually was serving the legislature during the Lola Cola, and you guys were staunch. I mean, you were on it. You were on it constantly. But one of the things that I got out of Tony and listening to him was that, and when you compare it to other organizations, was that I remember when the Lola Cola was being pushed, right? And we know years back, GovGuam didn't go to the bond market. They went to the retirement fund. That was their bond market. That was their bond market. So when it came time, retirement fund, where it's at this point, this cola situation, right? And so Tony gave it a life in the sense that he stood up for the stood up for the retirees, whereas other organizations will say, hey, these retirees are always looking for a handout, always gimme. It's never what can I do for this. It's always a gimme. Tony turned that around and says, hey, wait a minute, they were the bankers. They were GovGuam's bankers for the longest time. You never paid them back and all this. So actually, and that's one of the genesis on my introduction of paying the COLA recipients, again, the interest incurred and how much you owed, and we were successful in that as well, because that's right. If the government of Guam, or you owe the government of Guam and you haven't paid your debt, I mean, you have to pay back with interest. Why shouldn't you do the same thing? So
you're right. And he questioned the actions of the governor at the time. He questions the actions of the senators. He even questioned the actions of the retirement board. Saying that, hey, you guys are the protectors of the retirement fund. Why are you just letting them run rampant, rape and pillage, on the fund? And he had such a profound effect on the Lola Cola issue that he was appointed, I believe, as a board member to the retirement fund. Being the voice of the people, and a lot of people actually backed it up because, Tony being the watchdog there, they knew that the retirement fund was going to be protected one way or the other. And the Lola Cola story is just another success that we actually went through. People got what they were due. Military issue is another thing too as well, that he had the foresight that this thing is going to be an explosion waiting to happen, pretty much a time bomb, if we didn't take care of it now. And he kept saying, how are we going to fit these people, where are they going to be at, how is it going to be an impact on the environment? There were so many questions that he was posing, and they're still being asked today, even with the study that had just came out. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, hindsight, looking back, this guy was such a visionary that he knew things were going to happen way before.
And it was a play. He was there. I mean, when you compare that, and Doc, when you compare that, I mean, we have national elections going on now. I mean, of course, we have local elections as well. But how would you compare, again, one that was in there, that knew the ins and outs, versus, and he was Tony, myself as well, we're political pundits as well. But we were there. Tony was there as well, to a greater degree, that he was an insider, knew how things were made, how things maneuvered, within the bureaucracy. So how do you compare the two? Strictly a pundit versus one that was there and a pundit?
Sure. He certainly had a unique view, but also he had a critical understanding about how things really work. He didn't put up with people's BS descriptions of things. He would get right to the heart of the matter, and he had a keen intellect. His depth of understanding how things really work and how things really get done was excellent. He had a wonderful political acumen and insight. And there's another thing about Tony, and I know that it may be hard for some viewers to understand. In politics, loyalty is everything. And Tony was probably one of the most loyal Republicans I've ever met in my life. And I've known many Republicans. He was absolutely devoted to the Republican Party. He was absolutely a steadfast supporter of Guam's Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
He was a steadfast supporter of the governor, Governor Calvo. He was a steadfast supporter of Governor Camacho, and he was genuine in all of these efforts to be a good public servant and to serve the people. And I think that that's the point that Ryan also touched upon. Tony Blas served the people. He helped people. And that was what he really enjoyed doing, was using his access, using his various powers that he had to truly serve people and help people.
And so, you know, and going to again, public administration, he truly was a public administrator.
Sure, no question.
5 years in the legislature.
Yeah.
You know, prior to that, he was a director. 5 years in radio, going to being a director again at the Department of Administration. You know, the one thing that I took away from Tony, and I still keep with me to this day, is that, you know, he taught me that public service is a 24-hour deal. You know, it doesn't stop. You know, if you see somebody that needs help, you know, and if you could help them, do it. You know, and I think that's a genuine trait for somebody to have. You know.
See, so now, Ryan, that being said, you used to produce Tony Blas's show, used to produce my show, okay? We're looking at you to be the next public servant as well.
Okay, I'm running not. As long as he's going to be my camping chair.
Doc, one of the things I remember, I mean, when you look at the legislature, there are things that stand out in legislative times, right? Two things stand out, basically. One not so well, the chili fight that happened. Okay, the other one was, and both of them are lethal. Okay, one of them, of course, is the resolution that Tony Blas had sponsored, and it became a big thing because the whole island was involved, and senators, the resolution where you had a time in Guam where you had two sides. One wasn't wanted a new administration in the midst of an ongoing administration. So people wanted a certain administration now. That was the Gutierrez-Berdalio administration. So Tony, said, hey, we can't just do it this way. So he put out a resolution to allow the people of Guam, the right to vote whether or not to retain or to remove it.
It was such a controversial issue back then, and it stretched up.
Yeah.
His first guest on the first day of the show was the same person that he wrote that resolution was Governor Gutierrez.
Governor Gutierrez,
But you see, I mean, it goes back to what Ron said, that he wouldn't shy away from controversy. He knew that, hey, look, if the only way to start out the show is to pick up where he left off. Because right after that resolution, the following election, he did not make it.
Yeah,
and that was still haunting him.
But also not just that, but it was lethal for the ones that for the most the lethal side of it was mostly borne by the Republican side in regards to the senators that voted not to give the people the right to vote. So it was a career. Well, it was a senatorial career ending.
And at that time, the Republicans were the majority. Right? And then you had mentioned that right after that resolution and everything, many Republicans got out, and the Democrats ended up taking over for how many years?
Doc, again.
Well, I think
that,
one of the interesting things is after the chili fight, when you had a Democrat speaker, Democrat majority, that was really the sparking point that then shifted to a Republican majority. There's an important point, and Tony is like the epitome, the example of this. The Republicans, when they returned in January, they came back in coats and ties, and they said, we don't want to have any more nonsense. We're going to do things differently. We're going to take this job seriously. And they tried to restore faith in the public and in the legislature, because at that time, the legislature took a big hit from these behaviors. And Tony was one of the major players in making sure that the public's confidence in the legislature was restored.
We're going to take a quick break, pay some bills, and we'll be right back with closing comments. Be right back.
Your community calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Mas.
It's time for Shop Guam 2015. The Guam Visitors Bureau and more than 100 Shop Guam partners have teamed up to bring back the Shop Guam Festival, going on now until February 15th. This annual interactive shopping experience highlights Guam as a fun, fashionable, and diverse shopping destination, while giving our local community access to more than 200 deals and discounts, with new only on Guam and event features. Look for the Shop Guam logo at your favorite stores. Download the free Shop Guam mobile app and enjoy incredible discounts on shopping, dining, and entertainment.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our